And we're live. Welcome to the Best in Slaw podcast, a Warcraft podcast by the community for the community. I'm your main host, Sparty. I'm here with my co-host, Midgettes. Midgettes, hello. How are you this evening?
I'm doing great for a Sunday. I'm got the last couple of weeks of Legion and doing quests and achievements and things like that. How are you?
I'm good. You sound tired. Like, have you been just really busy with achievements? Like, you sound exhausted. Is it all the
Well,
pet battling?
honestly, I stayed up really late last night doing some of the pet battle achievements, so
Ah,
probably have a little tired.
well then. Yeah, I
And
know the
Fisher
feeling.
friends.
Yeah. Oh, the damn fishing. Stupid. I'm so done with it. Yeah, anyway, we'll talk about it. But this is episode 36. Today we'll be talking about our post-Survivor reunion show. We'll talk a little about Guild Survivor itself, that kind of stuff. And, of course, the reunion show where we have a number of the contestants, participants, candidates, whatever you want to call them, victims, volunteers, back on the show here to talk about their experience on Guild Survivor. Now, for those of you who don't know what Guild Survivor was, amazing experience for these players, one for us as well. This was season 3 of Guild Survivor. We did 2 last expansion, 1 this expansion, and basically it's 2 guilds, 2 tribes, 1 sole survivor. If you're a fan of the show, it's basically what it is. It's 2 tribes competing in different challenges, physical, mental, all that stuff. There's immunity challenges, and there's tribal councils, and they vote people out, and the winner won 2 million gold, which was awesome. But yeah, so let's get right into it. We'll talk about Survivor in a bit, but let's talk about what's new in the community.
Well, I think we have to do your joke first, much to my dismay.
Ah, yes. So let's talk about the first joke. Well, I did say this on Twitter. It's a good one. You ready?
I'm ready. You say they're good every week, though.
Well, I mean, they're hilarious, basically.
Oh, okay.
All right. What kind of magic do Taurens believe in?
What kind?
Moodoo.
Yeah.
Moodoo, get it? Because they go moo?
Sparty, if you have to explain them, they're not jokes.
Because some jokes are too smart for people, so I need to explain them. And that makes them much better. The joke was so bad the police came to arrest me. Yes. I do apologize. It's so bloody hot everywhere in the world right now. I have my window open, of course, and I live in a city, so we will hear the police coming to arrest me for bad dad jokes. But that's okay.
So now that we've gotten that out of the way, how's patch 8.0 been now? The pre-patch.
It's been okay. I thought it was really funny last week. With what was it? Yeah, well, we done some pre-patch stuff, and of course, there's been lots of issues with the raids as expected, and crashes and server issues and stability and communities broken, all that fun stuff. The rating wasn't great. And we sort of managed our time as best as we could. That being said, it was really funny last Monday. Yes, last Monday. Everyone's expecting the whole Darkshore thing, War of Thorns to open up, and like Teldrassil to be burned down, and all these horde are waiting outside Teldrassil. And sorry, you need to wait another week to burn down the tree. I thought it was really funny. Like they're just waiting there. They're excited. Oh, the quest ends. Yeah, that sucks. I mean, it sucks. It did end a little abruptly, so we'll have part 2 of it this coming Tuesday.
I don't know. I was like, are we done? No, don't stop.
Right? Like, just give us more. And I think that's been one of the valid complaints right now of like, hey, the pre-patch is coming. Let's make it exciting. And we've had all these awesome pre-patches. The Legion one was amazing, right? For those of you who remember the Legion pre-patch, it was the invasion's coming down. You could do all this stuff on different alts and get gear for them and everything else. And now it's, okay, I got a couple quests. And sure, we're doing some stuff in Darkshore, and not as if anyone goes there anyway. And then suddenly over. Well, give us something more, right? Like, give us a cinematic. Well, I guess we'll talk about one of the cinematics or shorts, but give us something better in game. So a little disappointing. Could have been better in terms of gating, I think.
I don't know. I think unfortunately the anticipation of BFA has sort of been soured with some of the challenges in the last couple of weeks, and I know I'm having a hard time going. Yay, new expansion. But I am ready for all of you raiders to have something to do. You're driving me nuts.
Well, it's still going to be a while, right? I mean, we're going to have new content, but it'll still be a while until the new raid actually starts, right?
Yes, but you'll be getting gear and doing all of those other things, and you'll be busy. Mm-hmm. It's a good thing.
I mean, I suppose.
Well, the War of Thorns Part 1, which is the quest line there, actually opened up the Dark Shore World quest. Now, have you gone through and done any of those?
Yeah, so I did the point until it stops at Malfurion for Alliance side, and I did a couple of world quests. I'm like, okay, this is fine. What's the point of these? I guess it's really there to gear alts. That being said, it's a little disappointing that I had this 1,000 item level artifact, and that it can potentially be replaced by a Titanforged weapon from a friggin' world quest. Like, really, did I spend all of Legion building up this artifact? Yeah, we cleansed Sargeras's whatever butthole thing, but now like some purple mace can replace my awesome artifact. I don't know.
Yes,
I
my
don't know how I feel
staff,
about
I
that.
got a Titan Forged, socketed staff, and I
Yeah,
refuse
it's.
to take off my artifact,
I
so
think it's a
it's
little
sitting in
silly.
my bag.
Yeah, like I don't want to take off my artifact because it's transmogged to my corrupted Ashbringer, and I want a two-handed mace that I can use. That's a healing mace, and yeah, I'm not gonna be happy anyway.
Well, apparently, for those of you who are using war mode, which by the way, I'm not, in case you've missed that,
Because you're a peaceful
memo,
gnome.
I'm a peaceful gnome, except before coffee or when you make me mad.
Ah, yes.
You know, but war mode and the features of war mode have become available. Have you been messing with it at all?
Nope, not at all. I mean, I was thinking about it, but it's on my list of things to do for PvP stuff. So I may turn it on for a couple of things and just go smash some horde.
Well, apparently they've got some of the features that you're going to be experiencing in BFA starting to show up in those Dark Shore quests. So be looking for them when you do. Maybe we can talk about them next week. The best part was there was a nerf, and then
Yes,
there was another nerf,
and
and
there's
then I
more
think there were
nerfs.
like 5 more nerfs to Andoras. Can we
Well,
kill dogs now?
yeah, and we talked about this with Sloopbag last week, and it's really disappointing that, and people are still doing it on Taurus. They're still trying to progress, whatever. I mean, it's pre-patch. We know things are going to break, and it's different if it's a Fire Lens transmog run and things are not balanced, or in some crappy dungeon things are hitting for 600% damage rather than 600 damage. Like that, that's different. But on Taurus, people are still doing, and you'd expect some of those numbers to be tested a little bit better. And yes, sure, you know what? Maybe the onus is us players that we should have gone to PTR and tested friggin' Mythic and Taurus. No, not really. And I know it's a massive game, but it's a little disappointing that these nerfs were still needed at this point and that it wasn't better fleshed out. So a little disappointing.
Yeah,
I wish. Yeah.
it's too bad because quite a few guilds, lost a week of mounts, which is disappointing.
Yep.
And it's interesting because I was speaking with Aelid about this quite a bit, and he mentioned, and it was a good idea, was back in, I believe it was HFC, you
Mm-hmm.
had the buff, and that
The
was what made
demoralizing
the
buff.
dose.
Yeah.
Yes, and talking about how things could have been better. um, I I have to say this is probably one of the expansions that I'm a little more cautious, and I'm expecting helicopters, because for those of you who
Oh
are
yeah.
around for MOP, helicopters were miserable,
The
and
worst.
so I'm sort of more anticipating that. Unfortunately, I hope they turn it around. I hope I can get more excited, but right now I'm sort of like, yeah,
It's these
I think
little
we're a
things that
little
are
early.
souring the potential hype of the expansion, right? I mean, it's there's been some hype, which is great, and they're putting more on TV, and we're gonna talk about that in a sec. But it's these little things are souring the potential hype of the next expansion for a lot of players, right? You're gonna lose some momentum with some of this stuff, but hopefully they can turn it around.
I hope so. Well, apparently, the RP realms are up in arms because the phasing has sort of come back, and we need to remind, because we do have a lot of RP viewers, that the server stability between now and launch, and probably a little bit after launch, will probably interfere some, so they need to be prepared. Warcraft dev, and they had a tweet about it and quite a bit of coverage, but I did want to get it out there. Also, apparently, they've put out a leveling hotfix for 1 to 100.
Mm-hmm.
The best news about this, though, and I love this part, apparently the best leveling experience through WoD isn't dungeons, it's not quests, it's pet battling and professions.
Hilarious.
And people apparently are convinced that I had something to do with it.
I would believe it, right? I mean, you've been on Blizzard's good side for so long, and finally you've influenced developers to level through professions and pet battles.
Right. Well, I wish I could get them to give me a new profession, because I need one. But it is getting better out there for those that are trying to level the allied races,
Mm-hmm.
or And I think that's a lot of where the leveling is coming from, is because people are wanting to get those appearances and leveling. Did you see the Warbringers animated short? I
Yeah,
know Miranda did. She tweeted everywhere about it.
of course she did. While she was burning a steak. So I've been meaning to watch this animated short. I've been wanting to watch it on stream because like everybody says it's amazing. So I want to watch it with my friends. I don't want to watch it alone. So hopefully right after this I'll go watch it right after the podcast and give my feedback on it because the song apparently is really amazing and Jaina is going to be this crazy person and apparently like everyone's really looking forward to the last two whatever animated shorts. Yes.
Absolutely. Well, moving on to the BFA news, and I guess I don't really call it beta anymore because we're what, 15 days
2 weeks
away?
2 weeks away.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
a couple of weeks away. But they did announce the Old Air raid schedule unlocked. So when are you guys going back to raiding? I can't wait.
So September 4th is when we are back to raiding, which gives us a full 3 weeks. Great. I mean, that gives us plenty of time to level. I mean, realistically, you're going to level in a day. Whether you're in war mode or not, you'll be level capped within a day, which is, fairly standard. All the dungeons, the questing, the war campaign, that'll all be well done. Mythics will be, done as well. So it should be a fairly relaxed schedule in terms of getting yourself up to speed. And then September 4th, normal and heroic will unlock. September 11th, mythic will unlock, and that's when it's full blown raiding. Method will be right up there as well, just grinding away at that stuff. And of course, everyone will be doing their own. Yeah.
Are we planning on doing like Mythic Plus groups and things like that, or have we talked that far into our planning?
We talked a little about it. I mean, we don't want to do what we did last time with the expansion. It didn't work out as well. I'm a little bit more confident in the team this year that the groups will be really varied. And I mean, between Death Jesters and Zeros to Heroes, I'm confident I will have plenty of groups going. There's a huge influx of people going into Zeros to Heroes now, and they want a home and a guild, and that's the next tough thing to contain. Of like, well, we're running out of space in all these raid teams. Like, it's crazy.
Like, we definitely need some more raid teams.
Yeah, like at least 2 or 3 more raid teams, and it's just, let's get some more veterans and officers, and let's, we're pretty lean as is, and that's a whole different topic that we could talk about. But I mean, it's tough to sustain that, but we want to make sure people find a home, right? That's sort of our mandate, and we want to continue bringing people into our community, and we don't want to say, oh, sorry, no, this community's full. So.
Well, we definitely, if people have interest in leadership, they should reach out to us, especially raid leads.
Yeah.
So have you seen the television ads for BFA? They're cute. I do enjoy them.
Yeah, these have been, you're right, they've been cute. There's the subway one, there's the umbrella one, there was the elevator one. The elevator one was the worst one of them. The raining umbrella one was hilarious and awesome. And what else? The subway one was.
I liked the one with the 2 parents and the child.
Oh yes, 2 parents.
With the stuffed animals.
That's what I should have done. You know what? That's what I should have done with my child, because Dryaz was Horde originally, and I've always been Alliance. So we should have had like a Horde versus Alliance thing. I'm sure eventually with next kid we'll do that. But yeah, I mean, these are awesome. The hype is cool. I like it. That being said. So I'm really mixed here. So the first part is these are awesome. It's been a while since we've had this kind of hype. Right? Remember, guys, the World of Draenor Axe and the Taxi Cab, Mr. T commercials. It's been a while since that's happened, and I'm glad they're going back to these kind of commercials and that kind of stuff. And it's not just in-game footage of whatever. This is really hyping Battle for Azeroth, right? The Horde versus Alliance conflict. That being said, I still have this feeling that the Battle for Azeroth will be the battle to save Azeroth from Jaina, Sylvanas, and whatever other old gods we have, right? So it's there to hype us up that it's Horde versus Alliance, but eventually I think it'll be, the battle to save Azeroth. Anyway.
I'm sorry. I think some of mine is I'm going to be sad to lose Darnassus. And it's funny because throughout the years I haven't gone there as much as I probably should have, but that was the first zone I ever leveled in. So I'm like really sad.
Yeah, typical noobs, rolling night elves. So many of you.
Yeah, well, I blame my son, but I blame my son for a lot of.
You know what they should have just done? They should have nuked Exodar, because nobody goes there. They should have said, yeah, you know what? Take it. Like, we're not even going to put up a fight. Burn it, explode it, like, go blast off to another planet. Who cares? Take Exodar with you.
I would get stuck in there and take me forever to get out. And for the longest time, I wouldn't go back into Exodar because I one day I just could not get out of there, and the maps were not as good as they are now. And I finally made it back out of Exodar, and I said, I am never going there again. I used to take boats to go back to Stormwind instead. It was
you're right. I think it's a confusing place, and we'll just get rid of it too. Just give it to them as a, as a bonus.
You can have Exodar. Let us keep our tree in Darnassus.
Exactly.
So, shall we move on to, because right now everything in Warcraft is either we're doing world quests and achievements. I mean, I know you've worked on a few things.
Yeah. I mean, I've worked on a few things. I finally got this damn fishing thing done. So the Fisher Friends of stupid, I hate these guys. And fishing I normally don't mind, but this Margos guy, I hate him. I hate his stupid 1 and 2 drowned mana, the amount of stupid stuff you have to buy from him in order to complete. I finally got him done and the Fisher Friends done. I still need to get his damn mound. I hate it. I can do it in 1 or 2 hour segments while I'm...
I call him Margros.
Yeah, he's definitely Margros, and I hope there's nothing this much of a grind. Like, honestly, I'd rather grind the Insane again over doing the stupid Margros guy. I hate it. Like, I'm going to go do Archaeology next. I'm going to enjoy it much more than the stupid fishing thing.
I sort of enjoyed the concept behind the Fisher Friends. However, for me, and over the 10 years, fishing is one of the things I'd sort of go do when I wanted to go play in Azeroth by myself. So having 40 of my closest friends all standing on top of me with their big bobbers was not what I had in mind.
Well, I
hate those people with those big bobbers.
That's
by
me.
the way. Oh, you have the big bobbers?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Of course, because I mean, then I'm watching a show or listening to somebody, on Twitch or doing whatever and getting work done, and then I have my sound cranked up really loud, right? Obviously, so I can hear the bobber, and if I move my mouse a little bit, it's not going to miss, right? So I can click that big bobber and listen.
Yeah,
you can still click through the big bobber anyway.
Your big bobber lands on top of my little bobber, and then I have to recast.
Well, mine is called an alpha bobber, and the alpha bobbers get rid of the little beta bobbers. So survival of the fittest here.
Okay, speaking of survival of the fittest, shall we transition over to what the majority of our podcast is going to be about?
Yeah, so let's. So we've got a lot of our contestants, volunteers, victims here. Amy, Kramer, Iron Dan, Jay, Scan, Sev, Talmudem, and Beaver. We'll just be joining into their channel here and talking in a second. All right, so here we are. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the show. We'll be talking, your feedback, that kind of stuff with Guild Survivor, how you liked it. We've got some questions for some of you guys that are very specific. But thank you for joining us. Much appreciated. Those of you that were able to make the time to be here, thank you. But I mean, midgets, let's talk about that. Maybe start off with the final challenge. So what goes into these challenges? Very well, because you've worked on a lot of these challenges with me, and you know how difficult I am to work with these challenges.
Actually, if you weren't difficult to work with, and I don't even look at it as difficult, you're just very thorough, and
yes,
you
I am very thorough
with a lot of things that we wouldn't have thought of otherwise. But here's what happens, and there's a reason you're this thorough, is no matter how many questions we think we've answered, no matter how many times we double check things. So for example, let's pick the four versus 5 colors. 3 of us went and looked at those 4 colors, and we're still being told we're wrong. And then we have questions about, I did one of the trivia questions for the prestige level 25. Well, it's really prestige level 26. No, prestige level 26 doesn't exist. It was 25 and all of the 50 levels past that. So technically it was 26, but 26 doesn't list. And so our raiders are so thorough, and our players, and they come back and ask these tough questions. And so we have to plan that at that level.
Yeah, and it's tough, right? I mean, a lot of these challenges that we do, they need to be fun. I mean, the fun aspect has to be there for the players that are playing. It needs to, be something that follows our theme, and our theme was very much Legion based, and we strayed a little bit from some of those things to make sure we had fun challenges, and make sure these guys had an experience. we need to make sure we're planning for somebody to potentially break it or abuse it, and we need those people that are gonna, well, Zarania's a great example of like, well, actually, it's this and this and this. So we need more people to to test these things and break these things, and obviously we only have so much bandwidth to work on some of these challenges. And you know what, to be frank, some of these challenges where we're thinking of the night before, we're testing the night before, or the day of while we're at work, we're talking about the challenges, how we're going to make it work, and that kind of stuff. We have most of the season planned out well in advance in terms of, okay, so this many episodes generally is what's going to happen until a tribe swap, and then a tribe merge, and then this many immunity challenges, and we have them sort of placed in different spots of, okay, well, this is going to be a really good 8 versus 8 challenge, let's try to slot it in here. But at the same time, we need to be very flexible and nimble of like, okay, well, what if this tribe is really dominating? Well, then we need to move up our tribe swap a little bit earlier to make sure there's a good flow, and one tribe is not getting decimated nonstop, and then there's it adds some more wrenches into everybody's gameplay. And then the last thing is, with a lot of these challenges, they need to be good to watch. So we have some awesome ideas, but because it's me, the cameraman, and we don't have this on YouTube and all the editing that goes into the actual Survivor game, I have to try to do my best to to show the viewers, hey, this is happening, and try to make it really fun for them as well. Because these guys are having a ton of fun, but we need to show sort of what's going on as well. And it's tough, whether it's phasing issues, or it's out of range issues, or it's not fun to watch. We need to consider all those in the challenges. And
well, and the phasing, especially from 2 years ago to now, has changed so much of what we were able to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have to be very cognizant of phasing. And then we had a little boomkin that decided to visit us, so fortunately we still have the garrisons.
Yeah, we have our backup
keep
plans,
the
right?
garrisons just for that, only the one place where nobody can follow us.
Yeah. So really getting into it, guys. I mean, again, thank you for joining us for this. We want to talk first, get everybody's opinions on your favorite challenges. So we'll go down the line in terms of, the list I have here, or just through you guys there. What is your favorite challenge? And Amy, you were here for a lot of the events for us. You were there as a sub, and you competed a lot. Let's go down the list. So, Amy, what was your favorite challenge of the One in Guild Survivor?
I would definitely say the Dazzling Rod challenge, just because of the chaos that ensued.
The Storm Peaks Dazzling one. So a good little wrench that we threw in there, and that was I think a last minute challenge, right, Midgets? That we said, hey, let's throw this twist in.
It was the night before, and you were doing something. I said, hey, let's go to the minefields, and a challenge was born.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, so you were a fan of that one. Awesome. What about Cafe? What about you?
I really enjoyed the carp soccer and Eggermart's little vault there.
The carp soccer, yes, the soccer fish. That was a great challenge, and that was a viewer suggested one. So just one of our viewers said, hey, you can do this, right? I'm like, oh, this is amazing. This is a Survivor challenge right here. Let's get it done. And we had this grand design of there's these flags. Where are they? The serpent people. What are they called?
The cloud serpents.
Yes, the cloud serpents.
They were the racing flags.
Yeah, the racing flag, because you can make them into finish lines. So we're like, okay, well, let's turn these into posts, right? So you actually get your fish through the post, which is awesome. Except these stupid flags are really hard to control.
Hard to place.
Yeah, they're hard to place.
I think we have a learning curve on the placement of the flags.
Yeah, we're going to have to practice. But it's like a 50 gold placement, right? And plus they have a 10-minute cooldown, so it's not as if you can just practice nonstop. Yeah, it was a tough one. So Kramer, what about you? Best challenge Survivor this season?
Yeah, I really like the tight-roping one, the tightrope walking one, mostly because I had an excuse to kill Scan and make it look like an accident.
So what happened there?
I fell off 2 or 3 times, and I was carrying Scan.
Yes.
So he took a bunch of fall damage, and he ended up dying.
Oh, yeah, he was I think the one person that died. I think we had somebody else fall off and get really low. It might have been Severus. But yes, that one was quite a contentious episode, and we'll get to that as well. And so, Iron Dan, what about you? Best episode?
I'm gonna have to agree on the fish soccer.
Fish soccer? Okay, that's good. I mean, that's great feedback. I know we had our own little offline feedback session in our channel, but yeah, fish soccer was a huge hit. I'm sure we're gonna have better terrain and better placements of the flags next time. So I'm excited to sort of bring that one back for sure. Jay, what about you?
Mine was the Dark Moon racing one.
Oh yeah, and why Dark Moon?
Because with the placement of where Midgets was, like I was able to just mess with Hot Fuzz. and just get underneath his skin, rattle some cages on the other team.
Yeah,
That's pretty fun.
and as much as it's a physical game and it's it's a competitive game, it's so much a social game and it's so much a mental game. And if you're getting under somebody's skin and if you're chirping people or like that can throw people off their game really really well. And what about Scan?
I was kind of a tie. I liked the Mammoth because it was a team-oriented event, but the Dazzling Rods was pretty fun too.
Awesome. How many of you actually had Dazzling Rods for the first time? Like it was your first ever Dazzling Rod event?
It was my second.
First time I ever used it, I think.
Okay. Okay, good. Okay, cool. And Sev, what about you? Your favorite event?
I'd have to say the tightrope challenge again, but I also enjoyed the scavenger hunt at the very end. So even though I lost, but hey.
Okay, all right, yeah. We'll chat about the last one as well. Talmud, and what about you?
I really enjoyed the time run to speed clear Oldawar, and also the duel between Iron Dan and I.
Oh yeah, that's definitely what we're going to talk about as well. That was a pretty iconic duel, and yeah, I mean, you guys as Zeros to Heroes gave DDs their first loss because as that cat meme was going a while ago. One of the players were stuck, or the guys were doing the Razor, whatever, the stupid dragon boss, and stuck in combat and couldn't teleport.
Yeah, we were on the first level for the entire instance.
That's hilarious. And so, Beaver, what about you?
Definitely not the tightrope walk, number sign Mammoth Gate. I would have to say the Old War race.
The Old War race. Okay, very good. So I'm glad there is a lot of PvE stuff, and nobody has said PvP at all. We've done PvP challenges in the past. We brought some back this time. We did arenas as well because they were really cool to show, and those always went into whatever that thing is, the one where there's the healing debuff. I don't know what it's called. It's been a while. But yeah, so we've done that one.
Well, and we wanted to get in because it was goodbye to Legion. We wanted to get in the battleground that was no longer going to be there.
Yeah, oh for sure.
So,
Yes, transfer the ancient.
yes.
Yeah, and
I
so
couldn't even remember what it was.
I liked it. I thought that was a really close one, the Shrine of the Ancients. It was back and forth, and there was some question as to who actually won. Is it a bug? Does it show always Alliance wins because we were both Alliance? So, I mean, it was a good one. I mean, there was a couple times where the other team just would have won. Like, it was 20 seconds off, something like that. A couple more hits, and you would have broken down the last door.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the Mammoth Gate first. So we've done tightrope challenges in the past. We've done, the first one was just a regular tightrope challenge. We did one where it was eggs along, and there were little rewards, and there was immunity idol through the 1,000 gold egg. We did one when it was drunk, and so we needed to step up our game this time. We said, okay, well, there's only this many posts. Well, how can we make them do more? Well, the mammoths, right? So we had our contestants here. They were on a mammoth, either the Grand Tundra mammoth or the, I don't know what they're called. There's two mammoths. So they were on either one, and they had to transport two players from one mammoth to the other while walking a tightrope, and it was hilarious and awesome. But let's get right into it. So Kramer, you killed Scan because you fell off, and it was an accident. But the big one was Beaver, right? So Beaver really hated this one. Let's talk about what happened with the tightrope challenge.
So in testing, I actually went back and spent a bunch of time and tested this. The 3 different mammoths have 3 different collision sizes on the wire. Or I should say the 2 mammoths and the 1 yak. The yak has a much more forgiving collision size on that wire than either of the mammoths. So if you tried to use a mammoth, you were pretty much SOL.
Yeah, so there's a section, for those of you listening, there's a section of the tightrope, for whatever reason, that the smaller mammoths, like the 30,000 gold ones, they would always fall off. And I even tested it. When I tested the event myself, and we do some QA testing for our events going into it, the yaks had no problem. Like, I did it in a couple minutes. It was fine, easy enough to do. But the little one I didn't test, and yeah, I mean, he kept falling off and over, and you could hear the frustration because, like, oh, I don't want to let my team down, and they kept falling off, and they had to go back, and there was the same section of the rope every single time that Beaver kept falling off. Did anybody else struggle with that challenge? I can't recall who else it was. What, Kramer once or twice?
I mean, I definitely struggled pretty hard since I killed my guildies doing it. I think I fell 3 times.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound like you were upset or frustrated at any level.
No, it was good.
So the killing of the guildies was good. Awesome. So Beaver, going into that one, I mean, was that, I guess, the reason why you were voted off in that episode?
I can't say for absolute certainty, but I'm pretty bloody certain that that's why I got voted off.
Well, who do we have here? We have so Talmudim, you were there, and we had our votes. I don't know. I guess we can share this spreadsheet with you guys. So I think Talmudim, you voted for Beaver that episode. Let me see here. Yeah, for Beaver.
I think that the Mammoth type wrote, I was actually absent.
Oh, we might have had a sub for you. I can't recall.
Yeah, I think it was
Yes,
Amy.
it was Amy. Amy, yes, correct. So Amy actually voted for Beaver at that time. So Amy, why did you vote for Beaver at that time? Was he the weak link in Zeros to Heroes team?
Yeah, it was just the immediate, just satisfaction of performance. But Survivor's not fair.
That's right. I mean, Survivor's not fair, and we had a lot of complaints afterwards of like, well, I never PvP, this wasn't fair, or like my memory sucks, this challenge wasn't fair, and you know what, Survivor's not fair, but you know what, going into an episode of Survivor, or whether it's the real game show Survivor or here, you should be able to do the content, right? If you don't know how to build a fire on Survivor, you shouldn't be going on Survivor. At the same time, like if you don't know how to fish or you don't know how to do this, then it's time to step up, because these challenges are gonna get tougher and tougher every single week. So Amy, subbing, worth it? I mean, would you have preferred a full-time slot, or how was the experience for you?
I'd say there's pros and cons to both. I actually got to learn a lot about the different, people in Survivor and the different challenges. I did more challenges than I didn't, so it almost felt like I was a core member.
Mm-hmm. And so with the subbing, there's a certain social game, I suppose, and there's certain strategy involved. How much strategy were you able to have when you were subbing for players? Was it your own thoughts, or were you trying to be more representative of, okay, well, what would this guy vote for?
Well, my philosophy was to try to act as if the person I was sitting in for, to give them the best shot to play their game how they wanted to, and to try to build those alliances that they had established.
Okay, that's good. That's fair. Jay, next question's for you. So the fish feasts, or I mean, you're very known for these fish feast things. What do you think? Fish race next, right? We sort of tested it on one of the islands. Should people just flop around and then do like a land fish and a water fish part?
I mean, I would love having a race like that, but it'd be very difficult to set up.
Oh, I mean, that's really on us to make sure it's fun and that kind of stuff. But, we want these kind of unique ideas. It was soccer fish, initially, and then it was this fish feast thing, because it's actually really difficult to flop around as a fish on the island when we were testing it, but apparently they swim really fast. And you mentioned, this was the most fun you've ever had in game. Do you want to elaborate on that? I mean, that was an awesome comment. That's what we want to hear. But tell us more. Why was it so fun?
Well, when I play WoW, the most social thing I ever do is raid with, like 20 people. Everything else is just basically solo. So I've never done anything like this before. So it was very enjoyable.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's exactly what we want to do, right? When we do these Guild Survivor things, it's more than just about raiding. It's about building bonds and friendships and teams, and doing more in Warcraft than just raiding. There's so much more to do, and we try to expose people to PvP and pet battles and doing all this cool stuff. And at the same time, you guys as raiders are very competitive players, and we try to bring out the competitiveness in you. And I thought that was huge, and it was awesome.
Actually, and you did some great things too, like when you were helping us with the final event, and you had mimicked one of the pets, and you were running around and following people. I was laughing as much at your antics as I was everybody else's.
So one of the, I guess, the first turning points was the duel between Talmudim and Iron Dan. So what happened was, essentially there was a tie between the teams, and we said, okay, well, you know what? You need to sort of duel it out, right? We're going to make it a duel. It's a PvP-based thing. Let's make it a duel. And, the Zeros to Heroes team initially said, okay, we're going to bring a tank. And I thought, no, tanks are crazy OP. From my knowledge, this is going to be just a broken show, because I told them they have to be running the same specs that they ran in the PvP challenge. So it came down to, fittingly, a Ret versus Ret challenge. Talmudim, tell us about this, this duel, right? It was down to a single hit, basically.
Yeah, pretty much like we each had 1% health, and it was just, I think it was also just a lot of like mid max factors. Like Iron, I think, got a proc or something. He just got that TV just a milliseconds faster than I did before I could get mine out, and it was so close. It was anybody's game. He just got it out quicker, and I lost. But it was like
I
hair.
Well, you guys were, I mean, it was super competitive, and you guys were using the whole flask foods, runes, pots, everything for it. Would you do anything differently if you were to reduel Iron Dan again?
Yeah, I would. I'd probably like bait him in instead of charging.
Well, you know what? I'm definitely interested in seeing another rematch of Talmudim versus Iron Dan in a duel. You know, sometime soon between our raids. That would be a great little exhibition. Just a quick.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Well, you know, Talmudim's down. Iron Dan, you down for a rematch?
More than interested.
Perfect. Awesome. So let's talk about Iron Dan. So Iron Dan, you had a solid duel against Talmudim. What did that one come down to?
I mean, like I was saying, I feel like it was just talent choices. I noticed there was a few things that I did that he did differently. You know, I saw he chose consecration, and then as soon as he threw that down, I was instantly out of it. So that was kind of a little bit of a waste. But there was another few things that it goes for as far as countering and a ret paladin, and that would be like the only CC he had on me would have been the Hodge. So I knew that I would only need the trinket once. So I ran adaptation, so it's instant, no downtime, and I feel that was the advantage I had to get that extra damage out just a little bit quicker. Was that I didn't have to rely on reaction time for trinket.
I don't think I had consecration, to be honest. Oh, sorry, Midge.
That's okay. I just want to comment on something very important. You guys do know that Sparty doesn't know what a Hodge is.
Hammer of Justice?
Yeah, it's an old story where, I mean, listen, I season 1 Gladiator, like back when Holy Paladins and Mortal Shrek Warriors were crazy back in BC. And I hadn't PvP'd seriously since, I don't know, like 10 years. So Chinglish brought me back. He's like, hey, let's PvP. And he's telling me what to do. I'm like, he says, go Hodge this guy. And I'm like, well, what the hell's a Hodge? Like, I still call it a stun. So I was out of the loop. That's the joke. Anyway, we can talk about the joke later on. It's fine. So Iron Dan, back to you. What happened with your vote? So you were definitely one of the strong competitors going into Survivor. What happened? I mean, your vote, you were backstabbed. Share us the story.
I mean, I just got blindsided. I was relying on my teammates. As far as my strat was just to be nice to everybody. I wasn't trying to make any enemies, and I was just kind of just going with the flow. Whoever whispered me, I was gonna agree with them and just go with it. But we started getting down to our team started dwindling down a little bit. The sizes were getting smaller, and I had the idol and everything, and I was pretty good about using it, but I wasn't even going to use it on myself because I was afraid of the the Zero's the Hero guys trying to pull a quick one on Hot, and they kind of pulled a quick one on me there.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the vote count for that one. So that was episode 4, part 2. That was torch juggling. So Cafe voted for Iron Dan. Illy voted for Conrad, which was Amy. Iron Dan also voted for Amy at that point, the sub. Decel voted for Iron Dan. Conrad for Iron Dan, and Hot Fuzz was the big flipper on that one, who also voted for Iron Dan. Otherwise, we would have gone down to a tie, and we would have had to go to a tiebreaker. I think if any of those guys or Hot had not voted for Iron Dan.
And what's really funny is Sparty's whisper me going, we need a tiebreaker. Oh my God.
Yeah, like as the votes were coming in, I'm like, oh crap, we're gonna need a tiebreaker. And then I see the final vote come in. I'm like, oh, well then I guess we don't need one. And we have a lot of like behind the scenes officer chat stuff going on of like, okay, well we need to fix this. But yeah, that was a huge surprise. And it's really tough because here I am trying to read the votes and tabulate the votes, and I know Iron Dan has a damn idol, and he hasn't played it, and I know he's going home, and I'm trying to keep a straight face the entire time and channel my inner Jeff Probst of like, holy crap, this just happened. And it was definitely one of those holy crap moments. Iron Dan is going home with a souvenir in his pocket. Yeah, that was it's too bad we can't have Hot Fuzz here because I'd love to have him explain, what went down on that one, maybe on a future show. And so, conversely, Scan, you didn't have a single vote on you. Why? Was it the relationships, playing in the shadows? What was your strat behind it?
It's funny, right? Because I can honestly say that when we started the game, it was me and one other person before we started that said, okay, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah, well,
And
share. You can share now, right? Unless it's going
for
to
sure.
spoil shreds.
Well, if you look at the vote count, there's only one other person who got no votes, right? Which is Kramer.
Mhm.
And coincident or not, me and him were in it from the start together.
Ah, that's good.
So Illy brought up a good point when we were just talking and stuff, because he asked me when we hit Final Four if we had another one. He's like, who are you voting? And I just told him outright. I said, you're going to be out unless you win. And then we got into discussion, because contrary to popular belief, I was pretty honest through this whole thing.
Mhm.
And I was kind of in a position where, as a new member in DJs, when the tribe started, and you kind of had the vets and then the apps. So the first votes, they kind of saw my vote as a swing vote. So you had Epic, Illy, and Jay and Co. try to pull me over to try and get out one of the boomkins, which was Sev, I think in week 2 or something like that. And then what they didn't know is that my vote was with Kramer's vote. So at that point, we kind of decided, we're better off going with the boomkins instead of the apps because they're going to get targeted. So we both swung our vote to Epic, even though we had promised it the one way. And then that's kind of where the game started.
Yeah, that was episode 3. So yeah, it looks like you were the swing vote for that one. Where 3 players voted for Sev, and the 5 players voted for Epic. Otherwise, yeah, it would have gone to potential tiebreaker as well, with the way things were going. Yeah, no, that's great. And so, you didn't get any votes against you. You've played pretty far under the radar, which was great. It's a different strategy to play. Are you planning on receiving more votes, given all these zeros to heroes chirping you gave at the end?
I don't think I played under the radar. Like, to put it quite bluntly, if you didn't think you were in the pact, you weren't. If you thought you were, you probably weren't. And if you weren't 100% sure, well, then you weren't in the game. Like, there wasn't a single vote that we went into where we didn't know what was happening. There was 2 situations where we knew, and I think you saw it, where you saw split votes, where we played around immunity idols, but there was never a situation where we didn't know who was going home.
And that's just such a Survivor-esque attitude to have, and you hear the same thing from the players on the show that are really good, where you need to always be in control and always know what's happening. I know there was a comment, I think it was from Cafe at one point, of, well, this is the one time that people haven't talked to me, I think I'm going home. Is that right, Cafe?
Well, that was pretty much it. Starting around, I think it was the torch juggling. I was starting to get whispers from multiple people, letting me know, who to vote for, whatnot. And even Scan kind of joked around. I think around the trivia contest that we were going to try and send Conrad home because there can only be one DK. So Scan played it perfectly. He was setting up votes and whatnot, and he probably knew about Illy's immunity idol when everyone was voting Illy off that one point.
Did you know about the immunity idol?
I whispered Illy before that event. I said, whatever you do, you need to get an idol. Otherwise, you're getting voted out. Because we had the info from Hot, who thought he was kind of part of our Final Four, but we were swinging that.
Yeah.
So we knew it was coming.
Well, you know what's really funny about that immunity idol is I had 12 packages. Both of them could have potentially not gotten an idol because I had enough for everybody, and they were all wrapped. So it was purely a fluke that Illy got the idol. But there were only 2 people that stopped by to pick up presents.
Well, yeah, and the odd thing about that was Illy got a hold of me during that vote. He's like, okay, I can, if you vote for this person, I can get you in with DJs, blah, blah, blah. And meanwhile, I've got everyone else telling me we got to vote for Illy. And then Illy pulls the immunity idol, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, I've just buried myself. And he said afterwards, don't worry about it, whatever, which was set up for like 2 weeks later.
Yeah, no, and that's crazy. Like the amount of stuff that's going behind the scenes, I wish there was a better way to show people, because on Survivor, yeah, they can edit it and that's fine, but I can't here. Like, and I've got some really cool screenshots and some mistells of people whispering me when they meant to whisper someone on their alliance. But I wish there was that better way to show what's going on behind the scenes, because it's some really clever, conniving stuff that you guys are doing, and that's what makes Survivor really awesome too. So you guys, experience that full hand, and we don't, unfortunately. But I wish there was a better way of showing of what's going on. And we thought initially when we were going to do season 3 of Survivor that we would do just a full YouTube series where I would have time to edit it, and then have some of the behind the scenes stuff of sort of what's going on. but ultimately we just decided, we're going to go as is because we don't have the bandwidth to do it, something like that. And so going on next.
And I do.
Go
I
ahead.
would like to do sort of a general question to everybody, because where I feel like it was a real turning point, because up until, I guess it was what, season or challenge 4, it was pretty even, one from each tribe. But then we went after the big guns, and we went after Happy. Who's going to tell me what happened there? Because I was like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that one.
Yes.
Was that the trivia challenge, or was that?
That was episode 4, part 1, Torch
So
Braziers.
that was the torches.
Yeah. So that I know that I was getting whispers both sides, and it was to remove Heppy because he was a legitimate threat for making it into the merge.
Yeah, and you know what? That, I think episode 4 was the huge turning point in terms of gaining more momentum for the DJs, because going through it, Zeros to Heroes had the numbers for that. Conrad voted for Illy, Hot Fuzz for Heppy for Cafe, and then Cafe, Illy, Iron Dan, Decel all voted for Heppy. Had the Zeros to Heroes on that tribe, right? The flip tribes voted for a DJ like Hot Fuzz or Illy or whatever, or Iron Dan, they would have likely stayed longer in the game, right? It's I don't know. Yes, tribal alliances don't matter at that point, which was interesting, but I would have thought Zeros to Heroes would have stuck better. And so he was a threat. Was there more logic behind that besides, Heppy's a strong player, we need to vote him out?
Well, Illy told me he can guarantee me immunity going up to the merge, so that's why my vote flipped.
See, I love these behind-the-scenes promises of like, I'm going to guarantee you immunity.
Guarantee? There's no guarantees.
Well, there's no guarantees, but I mean, it prolongs it a few more weeks. I mean,
Right.
Coming up to the week I left, it was the Dazzling Art Challenge. I actually did some math on that, what range I had to be in to get a hit and avoid being hit, but I miscalculated something with your range on your weak order. That's why I couldn't get the last 2 or 3 to win immunity on that one.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean,
I knew I was going.
Yeah, and sometimes it's, I need to play my best decision right now to get me through to one more episode or one more challenge. And sometimes, you play for long term, and sometimes you play for, I just need one more win, right? There's a tribe merge happening or a tribe flip happening, and those are pretty standard of sort of when they happen, but you just need one more game in. So going through the next one, so Sev, right? Definitely one of the favorites to win. Survivor, based off your experience and based on the amount of content you've done. How was your game in general? Tell us about first, how you played.
So at first, it was pretty much an alliance between me and Hot. We were trying to figure out, should it be DJs versus ZTH? And that's sort of what we stuck with. We tried to make up some little alliances, and then obviously the switch came with the tribes. And then after that, it was sort of me and Scan, and then that whole Kramer, Scan, me, and then a couple other people.
Okay. And so how much did the tribe switch throw a wrench into your plans?
Not too much, because I think on our tribe, we actually had more DJs, so we were able to outnumber the ZTH in that aspect, and then just vote them down.
Yeah, when the tribe switch happened here, that was episode 3, part 2. That's after the transmog contest. Epic Heel was voted off. So you guys went for a DJ first, and then you went for Talmudim because you guys had the numbers. So it was a Talmudim versus Jay vote on that one. So what about the last episode? So definitely one of the most epic finales we've had. It was such a great episode, I thought. Tell us about what happened. The infamous cave scenario. I mean, you guys went back and forth in terms of lead. It was Illy and Scan and Kramer and Sev just back and forth for a while up until the first couple little challenges. But then you were in a commanding lead. What happened? Tell us.
Yeah, so like you said, I did get into a lead at the end. And then as I started searching for the caves, it just kind of fell apart from there. I started in the giant cave down at the south and didn't find anything there. And then, of course, went around and missed the one that the gnome was in. So, and then after that, I should have gone back, but I didn't. I just kept going around. So.
Yeah, and so what's going through your mind at that point? How much pressure is there on you when you've got a lead, but you can't find this damn cave with a gnome?
Well, given that like 50 people were following me around, it was definitely pretty stressful. So.
Yep.
So definitely much more under the gun. We stream our raids, and that's one thing, but it's when one person has to do, this thing, I guess there's a lot more pressure on you because, I mean, you're sweating, you're stressed about what's happening. Okay, I got to go south, got to find this cave. I actually didn't anticipate you would go into the giant cave, but I'm like, okay, well, that's true. I suppose it is a cave and a bit of a tunnel, but, we were anticipating different caves. And I know when Midgets and I were looking at, well, what should be the final cave here, when I was testing the event, I did exactly what you did. Is I didn't see the cave directly to my right. I went for the next two caves. And my hope was that, you would do the exact same thing, or whoever would do the exact same thing, because that cave was a little bit harder to find. So, I mean, were you just looking forward? I know based off the camera that I was showing the rest of the viewers, you sort of went by that ramp, and it's hard to see the cave up to your right. But I mean, would you do anything different?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely, just a matter of me not seeing the cave at all. I saw the two to the other side, but then I didn't see the first one, which was the one that I missed, obviously. I think if I was to do anything differently, probably just realize that south means south, and not to continue going around the island up to the west or wherever I was going. So.
Yeah, that was a great episode. I know some of you guys went back to go watch it again to sort of see what was happening and to see what you were doing. But it was a good one, and it was, yeah. I mean, it was so close. It was so close that you could have won it. But I mean, really good learnings, right? I mean, it's Sev, one of the powerhouses of Survivor, got so close, but it's always be that close. So going into it, I mean, so we had that cave, yes. So we had this cave, and of course, Midgets was hiding in this cave on an alt. So you can't just go / target Midgets because you know her name, and that way it makes it too easy. So she was on a different gnome character, which was awesome. And then we had this hunter trying to tame this thing, and
Poor hunter.
this poor hunter, like I think it's on 20-minute respawn or something, and it rotates between
It's
three
actually
pets.
an hour. There's 3 pets. There's 3 hunter pets there, and they go through a rotation. And he had tamed the first 2, and him and I were talking, and he started watching the challenge and the stream while he was waiting for this pet. And of course, the pet spawns right as you all get there, and you all have to kill things. You can't just stand there and let that poor little pet.
No,
be
they're
there.
enemies. You got to kill them. Poor hunter. He was fine. We chatted with him afterwards. We apologized, and he came to watch the show afterwards as well. But yeah, I mean, I would have like, hey, do you want to come to like a heroic Argus? We'll carry you or something. We'll do something nice for you. But he was fine. He wasn't too angry about it. So Kramer, our winner. You didn't have any votes against you. It was you and Scan. I guess final 2, final 4. Tell us about your experience through Survivor, and then that last episode as well.
Yeah, so it was definitely an insane time. Like, I don't think I've ever experienced anything quite like that in a game.
So more so than
yeah,
any kind of mythic rating or like mythic bosses?
I mean, that's the stress of the last challenge, I think, is way more than I've ever felt in any mythic rating scenario.
Wow, okay. It's not a bad thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. It was a lot of fun. And I think my strategy going in, I wanted to get some people that I could really trust on my side early. So me and Scan started talking right away, and Iron Dan as well. And we had Jay, and we kind of had a little melee thing going. When the tribe split, obviously that changed a little bit, and I just kind of rode with Scan. We just discussed stuff every week. We would finish, doing the challenges, and then we would just talk about, where votes slide, who we should target, things like that. Who is the biggest threat?
That's awesome.
And yeah, I think we both really took it seriously from the start, and we both really, really wanted to get to that final challenge and wanted to win.
Yeah, I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, you guys were competitors, and clearly that was the case. You guys took it pretty seriously. Over on the Zeros to Heroes side, Cafe, Amy, and Beaver, and Tal, was it the same mentality that was super, super serious like that?
I didn't think necessarily it was. I was pretty vocal early on with everybody, and then it was just that curveball, I think, in the second week of Survivor, where after just before the Agrimar soccer or fish soccer, whatever, we got split up, and then that kind of just it went downhill.
Okay.
From there.
All right, and so Kramer, that last challenge, you went through. So you went rather than going around the island, you went over the island. Talk about this metamorphosis jump, because that might have been the clutch that potentially won the entire thing for you.
Yeah, so obviously I was trying to hit M and pay attention as much as I could while focusing on the challenge just to see, kind of how far ahead Severus was. And I noticed that he kind of traversed most of the south part of the island, so I thought it was going to be over for sure, because he was so far ahead. And I didn't know for sure that I could get up over there, but I just kind of, I knew I had to do something to make up that time, so I just kind of went for it. I just went to the start and just saw a spot I could meta up there and just meta'd, and that's all it really took to kind of get over. And I think, yeah, that allowed me to, I just got down, immediately went to the east and started looking for caves. And I think going from the opposite direction that Severus went, I hit the first cave and then the second cave, and then I was just looking to see if there was another cave around there because I hit them. And obviously I got trolled really hard by Alid in the second cave.
That
I
was
thought
awesome.
I had won. He was a gnome, and then he said, "I'm not a friendly gnome." So I got trolled really hard. I actually thought I won the game right there, and I didn't, but
Oh man.
I just kept heading east, and that's when I found that third cave. So I think coming at it from the opposite side definitely made that cave a little less difficult to spot out.
Yeah, I think the argument could be made that if you hadn't done the metamorphosis to jump over and to attack it from a different angle, that if you had followed the same path, well, Sev would have gone back at that point, and then he probably would have found that cave. So that might have been, the one winner as well. But it comes down to, never give up. As far as somebody can be ahead, you're constantly checking the map of, okay, well, this is how far they are. Where should I go? You're constantly strategizing. All those things are going through your mind. For the challenge, and you're trying to keep up and go. So going through it, guys.
I have one more question.
Yes, go ahead.
We move on to the next one. Sev, how far were you from making it back to the caves when Kramer found it?
I can't remember. I think I was like halfway back between the point. So
And
I'd
did you
gone
get to,
pretty
did you
far
get
to
to
the left
see
of
all
the
of
island.
Roshi's comments in the chat?
Oh yes, I did.
Of
I
course.
was ignoring him.
Yeah, I would ignore Roshi too. Just that guy.
It was wonderful. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, Sparty.
That's okay. So we talked about episode 4, and then that was the big momentum switch. But maybe from all of you guys, or before we actually get into this, there was a funny comment by Thalstead in here: building friendships in Survivor, LOL. So was there more friendships, or was there? I don't know. Did any of you guys feel any closer after Survivor at this point? Maybe start with the Zero to Heroes guys, Beaver. What do you feel about that statement itself? Was there more friendships, or was it just, I'm here to win, I'm a competitor, I want that 2 million gold?
Oh, I got booted out so early that really didn't affect me much.
Okay, what about Talmudim?
Yeah, it helped me kind of like talk to some people that I've never talked to before in Zeros to Heroes, as well as just because I got used to, like, when AB would sub in, raiding with Amy, raiding with Heppy, raiding with some of the people that were in the group, and then I just thought it was just a fun atmosphere, really, like just getting to know everybody.
Awesome. Sev?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it was friendship building, community building, everything else. I got to interact with people that I don't normally interact with, especially from Zeros to Heroes, which was really fun as well. So
Cool. What about you, Jay?
Oh, definitely. I basically became friends with Scan. Like I didn't really talk with a lot of people much, but through Survivor, I talked with Scan a lot, and I basically never met Midgettes before Survivor. Like I didn't know like what she did, but yeah, this is where I meet Midgettes. It was fun.
And so, is there a bit of a bromance then, Jay, Scan?
A little bit. A little bit.
I don't know if I call it a bromance, more so as just a useful pawn, but
I was gonna suggest budding friendship,
The
but
burn.
okay. What about you,
No, it
Iron
was
Dan?
good.
I mean, it couldn't have came at a better time for me. You know, joining a new guild, and especially a serious guild, you don't want to speak up too much. You don't want to step on any toes. So, talking to Scan and Kramer and everybody, they were very welcoming as far as being a part of Death Jesters. And as far as Hot goes, I give him a bunch of crap for stab me in the back, but in the end, it helped me get to know him, loosen me up so I can actually talk to him. Especially it's been beneficial to raids too, because there's mechanics that would benefit the raid more if I was here or there, so certain soaking spots and stuff. So, I'm not afraid to say stuff like that to him now. So generally, if I want a pad, I'll just, I'll pull the shame card on him. But
Remember that time
we
you voted
don't
me off?
pat in front of Sparty.
And so the final one's Kramer, building friendships.
Yeah, I definitely think I got a lot closer with Scan. We talked a lot, and Iron Dan as well. Prior to the split, we were talking pretty constantly. And Jay, and I think I was kind of in a unique situation in that I raided for a month with 0 back in February. So I knew Heppy and Hash. So once Hash was on our tribe, I ended up talking to him quite a bit as well, and we kind of formed a pretty tight friendship there.
Awesome. And
So the thing that we've learned from this is we should vote scan-offs first, right?
I mean, he's a master manipulator, apparently, right?
Right? So if next Survivor, I think Scan should be the target. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, well,
he paid everyone off.
It depends, right? I mean, there's logic behind voting off physical players and like some of the best players and people that are really strong competitors. Yeah, there's arguments to be said to vote them off right away. Like if I were playing Survivor, I would say that the smartest move would be vote me off right away. Just get me over with. Just otherwise, there's a good chance of me winning whatever. So, Cafe, what about you? Building new relationships with the Survivor?
Well, with the start of the expansion, I mean, I'd done when you had those Mythic 5 keys that you were looking for. I was running with some of the people on their alts and friends of the guild. So with people like Illy and Jay and Scan, I really didn't know them until we got in there. And then whether it was Pity Party or not, Scan tried to group up with me for 15 the week, an hour before the Survivor I left. But I think everyone kind of got to know each other, and it's not. I don't think many of us are going to just leave it as we met in Survivor and leave it as that. We're familiar now.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, and Amy, what about you? I mean, you were there for more games than you were not. Any new relationships built and new friendships after Guild Survivor?
Well, I definitely talked to Kramer and Scan a bit throughout the event, and I also even got to know some more Z2H members that aren't in the same raids I am. So all around, got to meet a lot of people.
Awesome. So I guess the last one to wrap up, season 4. I mean, it's definitely going to happen, right? We thought season 3 would be the last one, but basically the reception from you guys as well as the viewers, we're going to do a season 4 in BFA at some point. What would you guys like to see in season 4? More of, less of? Very open-ended question.
Profession based, like say you're an engineer or you grab some goblin gliders and try to incorporate a challenge with that or something.
The first one to craft stuff, a crafting challenge.
Yeah.
What other ones, Kramer? Yeah.
I'd kind of like to see like a last person standing in Gurubashi Arena. I feel like that could be pretty fun. Or even when we're down to like 3v3, if we did, I think you guys did it in season 2, I want to say, like a 3v3 arena. Maybe like without heal, like you would need like one healer on each team or none at all, but I think that could be pretty fun as well. That looked fun in season 2.
Yeah, we've wanted to do those kind of free-for-all challenges because you can sort of, play your alliances or do whatever. The difficulty is outside influence, and that's, again, one of the factors that we're looking for when we're looking at these challenges. I mean, we get a decent viewer base. There's always potential for somebody else to, to gang up, and what if there's another group of 5 trying to do something? There's always a chance for outside influence, and we don't want to ruin our game or really adversely affect the outcome of Survivor because of, somebody else trying to troll or whatever. But yeah, I mean, we want to do more of those challenges, and I think if BFA has that kind of capacity to do that, or if it was like a War Coliseum thing where it was only people in Survivor, that might be another really good one. Or just do like a reward challenge, for instance. And any other ones you guys want to see in Season 4? More of, less of, more tight ropes, Beaver, of course. Bring that back.
Despite the fact that I hate it, I do actually want to see it back because it was. I will win it next time.
Well, you better
You
start
need to
practicing.
redeem yourself.
Well, well, you just know that next time we probably won't have the mounts. There'll be some other challenge.
Yeah, we're gonna have to step
and
up
we
our
have
game.
Ari to thank for that among many things for the Survivor.
You want to make an
contributions.
absolutely devilish challenge? Do a drunk mammoth only run on that thing.
Yeah.
Well, Ari is
Backwards.
actually the one that showed us that place, so that one will be an Ariana favorite.
Oh, absolutely. And, as we wrap up here, I mean, it was a fantastic season. Definitely one of our best ones by far in terms of challenges and complexity and behind the scenes stuff. But none of it would have been possible. I mean, obviously, without you guys as people that volunteered for this thing, right? I was trying to get some people on there, and I'm like, come on, guys, 1 or 2 more people. And, eventually we were full, and Amy was our sub. But without you guys, without people like Midgettes, without Ariana, without our testers, or we had a lot of QA testers for a lot of these events, none of it would be possible, right? Like the tree milk clues and the ideas, and it's all a huge effort by a large group of people. If it wasn't for them, there's no way that I would be able to do this by myself. Like there's no friggin' way that I have the capacity or the bandwidth to do all of these things at once. Even if I tried, it would be something super low level where it wouldn't be anywhere close to as good as it is. So with that, I mean, thank you for all the supporters and the people that have played. You guys had a lot of fun. Big thanks to Midgets, Ari, Face, all of you guys that have contributed to Survivor over the years. It was fantastic, and BFA, once we get some time and we start ironing out the new fun stuff, whether it be toys, pets, ideas, that kind of stuff, where we're going to have these things, Warfront things and Island Expeditions, we're going to have some brand new things for BFA guaranteed with the content. But yeah, we're excited for it. So with that, I think we're going to wrap up. Thank you guys for watching. That was a fantastic Guild Survivor Season 3. We're back next week with potentially a new guest for our podcast. Have a good night. Be excellent to each other. And as always, live your life heroically. Have a fantastic evening.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, right.
How's it going, guys?
See ya.
Y'all are wonderful. Love you guys.